Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Overholser. I miss all of you so much, and I can't wait till we can get back to school and back to normal. But until then, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get out a couple lessons to you guys online so that we can continue working and continue learning like we were before. This is my very first video, so please bear with me. I'm hoping that as time goes on, I'll get better and the quality of these videos will get better. But today's lesson is going to be just a little review, a quick lesson on the parts of a letter and how to write a letter, and then afterwards I have an assignment for you. I can't wait to hear from you and see how you did. Please ask me any questions that you have. I'm here for you guys, and I can't wait to hear from you. Bye, guys. All right, boys and girls, I went ahead and did a sample letter for us so that we can review the parts of a letter and how you were going to structure your letter when you begin to write one. So just for review, there are 5 main parts of a letter. We have the date, the greeting, your body of your letter, your closing, and your signature. Again, there's 5 main parts of a letter. You start with your date, your greeting, the body of your letter, your closing, and a signature. We're going to go ahead and start at the top with the date. When you begin your letter, you want to start with writing your date. You do not have to write out both ways. You can choose which one you want, but just remember when you're writing out the full date with the month, the year, the date and the year, you do not forget your comma between the date and the year. Please don't do that, or else it's going to look like one really, really long number, and we don't want that. After you've written your date, I want you to skip a line, and this is where you're going to start with your greeting. Your greeting is who you're writing your letter to. In this case, I'm writing my letter to Ruby, so I started it with Dear Ruby. One thing I want to point out here, a couple things I want to point out here, is do not forget a capital letter for the D in dear, as well as who you're writing your letter to. Please make sure that the first letter in their name is capitalized. Names are proper nouns, and they all need to start with a capital letter. Also, please do not forget your comma. I wrote it right here so that we don't forget. Do not forget your comma after the name of the person you're writing the letter to. After your greeting, you move on to the body of your letter. The body of your letter is very important. This is what you're writing about. You're going to write your letter, fill it up with all of your information. What I do want to point out here with the body of your letter, just like when you're talking to somebody, you don't just start talking. You usually walk up to someone and say, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing?" So you want to make sure you do the same thing with your letter. You want to start it with some sort of greeting to them. "Hi, how are you? How are you feeling?" And then respond with how you're doing. A couple things I want to point out about your body of your letter is please do not start the body of your letter right after your greeting. Please do not start writing after you write Dear and whoever you're writing the letter to and your comma. Please do not start your letter right after that. You want to drop down to the next line and indent. Indent means just move over a little bit. We talked about how the best spot to start your letter would be right underneath the R in dear. You just drop down, and that'd be the best spot for you to start your letter. Let's remember that it's only the very first line of the body of your letter that you indent. After that, you just come back to the end of your line. You only indent that first line of your letter. After you've written the body of your letter, you move down to your closing. Your closing is how you're going to end your letter. It's like saying goodbye. Okay, so I ended my letter with love, but there's also other ways you can end your letter. Love, your friend, your student, sincerely, many different ways you can end your letter. But please do not forget your comma. Just like up here after the name in your greeting, you have a comma. Please don't forget your comma after your closing. And I usually put your closing right in the middle of the paper underneath the body of your letter. After your closing, that's when you have your signature. Your signature is your name. You can sign it with your full name, first and last, or just with your name. Maybe if you're writing a letter to someone that you're really close to, maybe you have a nickname. That's just your signature so they know who the letter is from. All right, so let's just review again. There are 5 main parts of a letter. We have our date, which goes at the top right-hand corner. Then you have your greeting. Please don't forget capital letters and your comma. Then you move down For the body of your letter, remember you're going to move down to the next line, not right after you write the greeting. You're going to move down to the next line and you're going to indent under the R of dear to start the body of your letter. Please don't forget a nice greeting when you start it, a nice attention grabber. After you've written your body of your letter, you're going to drop down for your closing. Don't forget the comma and your signature so we know who wrote the letter. It would not be fun to get a letter in the mail and not know who sent it to you. All right, boys and girls, here are the 5 parts of a letter. You have your date, the greeting, your body, the closing, and your signature. Your assignment for today is to write a letter to me explaining what you did over spring break. Okay, you're going to write a letter to me explaining what you did over spring break. I want your letter to be 7 to 10 sentences. 7 to 10 sentences means that is the minimum. If you would like to write more than 10 sentences, I would love that. But please make sure that you don't write less than 7 sentences. I want to make sure that you're explaining in detail what you did over spring break. I would love to hear anything that you did. It could be, what TV shows you watched, what games you played, just anything that you want to tell me about what you did over spring break. And then I want you to take a picture of your finished letter and send it to me through Remind. You can text it to me or email it to me. So any way that you can get me that picture, I want to be able to see the letter that you wrote. Just remember, things to remember when you're writing your letter. The 5 parts of a letter: your date, your greeting, the body, your closing, and a signature. Okay, please don't forget to have all 5 parts of a letter in your letter when you send it to me. All right, let's review that again. You're going to write a letter to me explaining what you did over spring break. Your letter cannot be less than 7 sentences, but it can definitely be more. I would love to hear all that you have to say to me about your spring break. All you need to tell me. And then to turn it in, you're going to take a picture of your finished letter and send it to me through Remind or text or email. Okay, if you have any questions about this, please let me know and I'm here to help you. Thanks, boys and girls.